let's spend some time just talking about how God sees people. When God sees people who are guilt-ridden, when God sees people who've been through painful events, how does he see people? Let's look at 3 verses. Let me turn to Matthew 9:36. Someone turn to Matthew 11:28 through 30. And someone turn to Matthew 12:20. So we have 3 verses. Matthew 9:36, Matthew 11:28 through 30, and Matthew 12:20. Who's got 9:36? Please.
But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion for them because they were weary and scattered like sheep having no shepherd.
So Jesus sees us as what? Weary, scattered, and sheep with no shepherd. NIV would say harassed. The Greek word for harassed literally translates, it means you're having your hair ripped out by the roots. It's a vicious word. When you look at people, they are weary and harassed. And if they're helpless, what does that mean, to be helpless? So again, they can't be helped. They're without anybody to come alongside them. In counseling, Galatians may say it best, carry each other's burdens. So we may be carrying burdens with people to help them through. And then it says, harassed, helpless. What's it mean to be sheep without a shepherd?
You're going to die.
Say it again.
You're going to die.
You're going to die. The goal of the shepherd was 2 things. Provide and protect. I think Jesus just said there are some people in this world who have no one to provide for them and no one protecting them. Look at 11:28 through 30.
Come to me, all of you who labor and are heavy laden. I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
So Jesus sees people as weary, heavy laden, and burdened. The burden may be physical, but if you look at guilt and fear, those aren't physical. What kind of burdens are those? They're emotional burdens. Look at 12:20.
A battered reed he will not break off, and a smoldering wick he will not put out, until he leads justice to victory.
Jesus sees people as battered, or the NIV would say bruised. And then the second part of that would be smoldering wicks. People who have lost the flame or passion for life. If we don't have passion for life, give me a detriment. Suicide. And now maybe we see, instead of life being a gift, life is seen as what? A burden, or something that's to drudge through. There are literally people in this world who meet all 7 criteria. My passion, 1/3 to 1/4 of my clientele has been raped or molested. The burdens they carry, the lies they've learned, the coping skills they have, the emotions they carry from all that injury. When they can be set free, it's amazing. All right, so we've talked about the lies, the coping skills, and so far we talked about 2 emotions that people inherit, guilt, and the last one was what?
Fear.
Fear. Let's look at 2 more emotions. Bitterness is the B. What exactly is bitterness? Hardened heart. So we turn to Proverbs 28:14. Hardened heart. Proverbs 28:14. Go ahead, please, Jason. Or is it Joshua?
Josh.
Josh.
Blessed is the man who always fears the Lord, but he who hardens his heart falls into trouble.
When you harden your heart, you fall into trouble. When you look at bitterness, look at Proverbs 14:10. What does Proverbs 14:10 teach about bitterness?
Heart knoweth his own bitterness, and a stranger does not intermeddle with his joy.
Each heart knows its own bitterness. So when people are dealing with bitterness, they know they're bitter. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to tell you they're bitter. I work with tons of people who've carried bitterness for a third of their lives. And then the second part of that verse is totally fascinating to me. And no one can share its joy. To me, bitterness has a capacity to destroy every fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control can all be destroyed by bitterness. Well, if I've gone through a painful event, one of the goals has to be then, if I've been hurt by people, I've got to learn to release that bitterness. How do you release bitterness? Forgiveness. Is it hard to forgive? Absolutely. Look at another verse on bitterness. Look at what it says in Hebrews 12:15. How the writer of Hebrews describes bitterness, I dearly love. What's it say? 12:15 of Hebrews. See to it that no one misses the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up and defiles many. The writer of Hebrews would call bitterness a root. Give me 3 things a root does.
Starts small
Explain.
and grows bigger.
Okay, that's bitterness. Bitterness will start small and grow bigger. Glenda, you're doing what?
Spreads.
Will spread. The root also will nourish itself. When you look at bitterness, there are people who know they're bitter. And in fact, maybe the bitterness is their coping skill. If I've been hurt by people, what's the benefit of being bitter?
Can't be hurt again.
How? Why can't I be hurt again?
You don't let people in.
In fact, if you get close to me,
Push you away.
I'll push you away. Can we do our date again? 19, first date. Please ask me about my ex-girlfriend.
What about your ex-girlfriend?
I wish she would rot in hell and burn in fire a slow death. Syphilis and gonorrhea would be too good for her.
Cutting loose and running.
All right.
Run for
Do I get date 2?
No.
Do I get date 1/2? No, because watch, my bitterness, what would it do?
She'll end your relationship with her.
It would push her away, right? And maybe that's mission accomplished. If I'm afraid of getting hurt again, Me putting up a wall, to me seems what? Oh no, not counterproductive. It may seem very productive. Safe. Look at Proverbs 19:18. What does Solomon teach here?
Teach your son while they hope. Let not thy son spare for each crime.
Okay, well, let's try, wait a minute, hold it. How about 18:19? How about, I was close, 18:19.
Brother offended.
There you go, that's it.
Harder to be won than a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of a castle.
An offended brother is more unyielding than a fortified city, and disputes are like the barred gates of a citadel. If I'm on the outside of a citadel, what do barred gates tell me? You're not welcome, stay out. What do barred gates say to the person on the inside? I'm safe. There are people who put up the wall of bitterness because they really believe they're safe. Put down 4 P's for me, somewhere on this page. I'm going to teach you two lies about bitterness and then 2 truths. 2 lies first. People see bitterness as being powerful. People see bitterness as being protective. Now, 2 truths. Bitterness is poisonous, and bitterness is possessive. By the way, if I'm bitter at one person, it's only a matter of time until I'm bitter at everyone. We saw that with Saul and David, the bitterness, but we saw it with Jonathan when Jonathan said to Dad, "What has David done that you want to kill him?" Saul tried to kill his own son for simply asking the question, what has David done? Give me some people in the Bible who were bitter. Okay, Mara, which is Naomi. What does Naomi mean? Pleasant. She said, don't call me pleasant. Call me bitter. But see, here's what's cool. Within that story of her bitterness, we find who? Ruth. Ruth is one of my favorite women in the whole Bible because even though she knew her mother-in-law was bitter, what did Ruth do? Say it again. Clung to her. I think Ruth may have made it her mission in life to set her mother-in-law free. So all of a sudden we look at this thing called bitterness. Give me some other people in the Bible who were bitter.
Prodigal's older brother.
When he said what?
He comes back, you give him the fatted calf, and I've been here and I didn't get it.
Turn to Luke 15 and read verse 30. This may be the most bitter statement the prodigal son's elder brother ever said. Luke 15:30. Go ahead, please.
Oh, 15:30?
15:30.
But as soon as this son of yours came, who has devoured your livelihood with harlots, you killed the fatted calf for him.
What did the elder brother do in verse 30?
Called him your son instead of my brother.
In other words, he did what? He disowned him. So the song that said, he ain't heavy, he's my brother, oh no, the prodigal son story said, he's too heavy, he ain't my brother. He disowned his brother. Give me another parable of bitterness.
Michael,
Explain.
David's wife.
Yeah. She was so bitter, it says that she was barren for the rest of her life. Another parable. How about the parable of the workers in the vineyard? Some were given, the ones who worked 1 hour were given the same as the ones who worked all day. I think the parable of the talent being put in the ground was bitterness. And we know he dealt with fear. He said, I was afraid, so I buried it. We see bitterness. Now let's make it more personal. Do we see bitterness in society? Let me give you a very simple way to see bitterness. Tomorrow when you're driving home, drive the speed limit. You'll make people so bitter it's beyond belief. And when they're bitter, they don't wave with all their fingers up in the air. Agree?
Yep.
Well, we have road rage. They now have things called airport anger. You guys know who Conrad Hilton Jr. is? The grandson of the man who was the hotel. He got arrested on a plane. His arrogance got him in trouble. He was actually threatening to beat people up. And my favorite part of him, he called everyone in the airplane peasants. Conrad Hilton Jr. By the way, if I call you a peasant, what have I called myself? I'm Lord. I'm royalty. He was bitter. He wasn't getting his way. One of my hobbies, I collect bitterness stories. I've got some that are hilarious. My favorite one, by far, a man in California got into a fight with his girlfriend in a grocery store parking lot. He hit her with a 2-foot-long, 10-pound tuna. That's hilarious. I called the policeman who did the report, and I told him I'm doing a new edition of my book on forgiveness, and he said, is this story going to be in it? I said, absolutely. And he said, is it going to have a special headline? I said, yeah. He said, what's the headline going to read? I said, it's going to read, it wasn't Tuna Helper. He slapped her with a fish in Indianapolis. These two brothers got into a fight. The one brother stabbed his brother with a swordfish. They went to the ER, and he's got a swordfish. Well, I can show you how popular bitterness is. Just turn on Jerry Springer. Why do people watch that show?
Because they like the company to it.
Say it again?
They like the company.
And they like people doing what?
Stupid things worse than them.
Stupid things worse than them, especially when they're bitter. In the gym where I work out, if I go at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, one of the TVs has Jerry Springer. I don't listen to it, but you don't have to listen to it, you can just watch it. You can write every episode. Guy and girl have a relationship issue, Guy's seen another girl, the other girl comes on stage, the guy's ex gets into a fight with the new girlfriend. The old girlfriend has a new boyfriend. The new boyfriend comes onto the stage. The old boyfriend and the new boyfriend fight. And the audience yells one word. Jerry. Now, why do they yell that? Because they want to see people fight. Isn't that sad? Our society right now, if you tell people that you've been wrong but you forgive, you'll get hassled. If you tell people you were wronged and you sought revenge, our society will actually applaud you. Look at Leviticus 19:18. Old Testament law.
You shall not take vengeance nor bear any grudge against your children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord.
He said, do not seek revenge or bear what? A grudge. What's it mean to bear? Carry and hold on to. What's it mean to seek revenge? In your mind, you actually think of ways to harm somebody. And there's a lie behind revenge. I love this lie. I just want to get even. No, in purest form with revenge, you don't want to get even, you want slightly above. So my cat went into your yard and did something wrong. So you go to my yard and you do something wrong. I go back to your yard and cut down your prized cherry tree. You go to my car and you blow it up. Does it work that way?
Yep.
I mean, if I wanted to give you an assignment, just scan the news for bitterness stories. The sad thing is, it won't take very long. I can give you stories where people have dressed up like Santa Claus, gone to their ex's family, and killed them all. And I'm thinking, what kind of sick mind would, number one, dress up as Santa Claus with an Uzi? Well, that's our society. And then when you look at bitterness, the sad thing is, secular psychology, they may recognize guilt. They'll probably teach that guilt is a worthless emotion and you shouldn't feel guilty, so there's a solution. They may recognize fear. They don't recognize bitterness. I've never seen a secular psychologist say he's bitter. But they're out there. They went through some painful event. They went through a loss, injustice, and betrayal, whatever the painful event was, and bitterness simply developed as the negative emotion. So, how do you find out if people are dealing with guilt and fear or bitterness? How do you diagnose that?
Peel.
Say it again.
Peel.
Peel. Watch. Peel. What's the best way to peel the emotions? Ready? It's real simple. Ask them. Okay, let me give you 3 emotions. Guilt, fear, and bitterness. Which one are you dealing with the most? they'll tell you quick. Because they know. And the cool thing is, when you peel that question back, and they say, I'm dealing with fear, or I'm dealing with bitterness, and now you start working on the healing process, that dealing and that healing process, it's amazing. Put down A, B, C for me. There are 3 reasons why it's hard to forgive. Against human nature. Believing lies about forgiveness. Continual reminders of the hurt. I said forgiveness is against human nature. Am I right? Forgiveness to me means a supernatural experience. You can't do it on your own. I said they're believing lies. Let me give you 3 lies about forgiveness. Lie number 1, if I forgive, I'm telling the person that hurt me what they did is okay. That's a bold-faced lie. But they believe it to be true. If I forgive, I'm saying what you do is okay. Lie number 2, if I forgive, I'm giving you permission to do it again. Another lie. Remember I said lies learned. 3rd lie. If I forgive, I'm being weak, a doormat, and a fool. Those are all lies. The sad thing is, though, those lies are taught as truth. What's the truth behind the 2nd lie? The lie says, if I forgive, I'm giving permission for you to hurt me again. Truth. If you don't forgive, you are simply hurting who? Yourself. Look at Micah 2:1. Human nature. Micah 2:1. Woe to those who do what? Plan iniquity. Keep going.
And work out evil on their beds.
And work out evil on their beds.
At morning light they practice it because it's in the power of their hand.
He just gave the 3 P's or 4 P's of revenge. It's planned, it's plotted, practiced, or powered. By the way, when you seek revenge, tell me about your human nature. What does it feel?
Satisfaction.
Say it again.
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction. It truly does. In fact, Esau, was he bitter? Read Genesis 27:41. When I read this verse, I looked and went, man, does this describe human nature? What's it say?
So Esau bore a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing with which his father had blessed him. And Esau said to himself, the days of the mourning for my father are near, then I will kill my brother Jacob.
And the NIV says, the thought of killing his brother gave him consolation. It consoled him. What's it mean to console? to bring comfort. The idea of killing his brother brought Esau comfort. Now, is that human nature? Absolutely. When my publisher first did my book on forgiveness, I'm dealing with the editor and he said, "Charlie, who needs your book on forgiveness?" I grabbed the Joplin phone book, I opened it up and I pointed and I said, "Everyone except this guy right here." And Chris looked at me and he goes, "You're telling me everyone needs this book on forgiveness?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "What about the guy you pointed to?" I said, "He needs it too. He's just lying to himself." Well, I can show you, when you deal with forgiveness, you're touching probably the greatest human need people have. Forgiving of who? Themselves. And maybe they need to understand God's forgiveness. Bitterness is a root, and this thing will cause so much trouble and defile many. Oh, by the way, if I'm really evil, Glenda, if I want to hurt you, if I really want to hurt you, I will hurt someone you love in such a way you're forced to watch.
Two that were tied together that you shot the daughter
Oh,
in
absolutely.
front of the mother,
Absolutely. So you're forced to watch, and you can do nothing about it.
and then you gotta live with the
Absolutely. We see all that all the time. How about this? A guy's going through a divorce. He goes and kills his kid. That was, I think, in Indianapolis the other day. And I love secular psychology. They get asked and say, "Why would a person do this?" And I love their answer. "We have no idea." Okay, maybe I'm too simplistic. How about they're bitter? This may really sound harsh. You don't shoot people you're happy with. I am so happy I shot you. No, but when you think about getting even, killing someone she loves, and then killing myself. Don't we see that? Remember my bitterness stories? A bakery in New York City. They were doing road construction, so people could not walk into the bakery. And so they weren't selling muffins. And this one owner walked out, and she started throwing muffins at the workers repairing the street. She was arrested for assault with a deadly muffin. But if you're bitter, anything around you can become a weapon. Look at Romans 3:14. How can you tell people are bitter? How can you tell when people are bitter? Romans 3:14.
Their mouths are full of cursing and bitterness.
So you can hear bitterness out of people's what? Mouth. Okay, help me out for a second. Why is bitterness in my mouth? It's in my heart. And all my words is a reflection of my heart. When I look at bitter people, their lives are a wreck. Their relationships are totally trashed. And the sad thing is, they refuse to what? Let it go. By the way, if you want to see a really cool video, a church, I think in Georgia, did the parable of the unmerciful servant. The minister had the kids act it out. But the video is really sweet. The video has the older male adults pretend to be the kids, speaking the kids' voices. And it said, the minister said, I don't understand why this video's got so many hits. And then he said this, maybe it's because forgiveness touches the heart of most people. How many of you saw the movie Justice, or The Judge? The Judge. It's about a judge who is accused of vehicular homicide, and his son comes back and defends him. Who played Iron Man? Okay, he's the lawyer son, and Robert Duvall is the judge. As far as forgiveness and reconciliation, it's great. How many of you saw Field of Dreams? Was it about reconciliation? Absolutely. I think the reason why these movies are so popular is because it touches the heart. But here's what's sad. I think songs about revenge are popular too. Carrie Underwood, what song made her popular? Before He Cheats. Have you seen the video? I played it at the Bible college. I spoke on forgiveness at a chapel, and the first thing I did was I played the video of Before He Cheats, and a lot of people were applauding, and I simply said, why are you applauding? What did he do to her truck? What did she do to his truck? Keyed it! Smashing his headlights. I think the reason why that song resonates is because so does bitterness. If we can help people understand they're bitter. Now, let me make some easy statements here for you. Once you recognize they're bitter, I want you to ask them 3 questions. Remember I said reveal? Put down LIB. LIB. I want you to ask them 3 questions. LIB. What was your loss? What was your loss? I. What was your injustice? B. What was your betrayal? So when you're working with people who are bitter, and they said to you, I'm bitter, start peeling back that and start revealing and going, what was your loss? Example, Naomi. Why was she bitter? Look what she lost. Husband, sons, she's in a foreign country, tons of loss. What is injustice? Turn to Proverbs 21:15. Please.
When justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but terror to evildoers.
When justice is done, it brings joy to who? The righteous. Okay, reverse that verse. When injustice is done, it brings what? Not joy.
Terror.
Say it again.
Terror.
Terror. When people have been through injustice, it's terrible. In fact, I love the parable of the unjust judge, because it's a parable on prayer. And here's what he says. I don't care about this woman, but I'm going to answer her request because she keeps coming and wearing me out. Well, I'm assuming if an unjust judge can say that, what would a just judge say? So, 3 events. What was your loss? In fact, King Saul, when Samuel took the kingdom from him, there's a time in King Saul's life, he says, please come back with me in front of the people. Because Saul was trying to save face. Common events. What's unique about betrayal? Say it again.
Only a friend can betray a friend because a stranger doesn't have the impact.
Non-related people, non-friends can't betray you. Total strangers can't betray you. They can cause you loss. They can cause you injustice. They can't betray. Now watch. Let's go through the 3 guarantees again. Painful event. I've been betrayed. Give me a lie I can learn really quickly.
I cannot trust anybody.
Say it again.
I can't trust anybody else.
Yeah. Are you ready for a great coping skill? TNO. It's on the handout. Trust no one. Also on the handout, I put GCGH, a great coping skill. You see it on page 1 or 2? Is it page 2? You see GCGH? Are you ready? Get close. Get hurt. What happens if you believe that? If I get close, I get hurt. What happens when you believe that?
Far from everybody, but
Say it again.
you're far from everybody.
You're far from everyone. Linda?
Satan wins that.
Oh, absolutely. He loves bitterness and watching us get hurt. I was reading Screwtape Letters with C.S. Lewis. And before I started reading it, I was reading about C.S. Lewis in this book. It was the hardest book he ever wrote. It was on spiritual warfare. And in one of the letters, the uncle wrote this: Satan is entertained by people's pain. Why would pain entertain the enemy?
Cause someone to curse God.
Causes them to curse God. Why else?
Because we look like God.
Say it again.
Because we look like God.
Yeah. We look like God.
Misery loves company.
Misery loves company. The most bitter person in the Bible is the enemy, is Satan. It says in Revelation 12:10, he is filled with rage because he knows his time is short. He loves hurt. In fact, probably the toughest teaching Jesus ever said. Look at Matthew 18 and read verse 6. This may be the toughest teaching Jesus ever said. Please.
Sorry, I'm not even there.
Matthew 18:6.
Whoever causes one of these little ones to believe in me to sin, It would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea.
Jesus just said, you harm one of my little ones, it's better for you to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Better than what? You said better. It's got to be a comparison.
Better than his judgment.
Better than whose judgment?
God's.
God's. God just said to people who've wronged his children, you're better off dead than deal with me. By the way, when I work with child abuse victims, I will teach them that verse. When I work with abuse victims and they're blaming themselves, I will frequently ask them, so how do you think God feels about your abuse? And I'll show them that verse. Now, it may take a while for them to what? Accept it. But I'll keep teaching it. What happens to a person who's been abused, who recognizes God watched over them? What happens? Linda, say it again.
Thankfulness.
They're thankful. Look at Isaiah 43:2. I've been through a loss, I've been through an injustice, I've been through betrayal, I've been hurt. God was with me. Isaiah 43:2. Look what he says.
When you pass through the waters, I'll be with you. Through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flame scorch you.
He said, if you walk through the fire, right? No, I didn't say if. He said when. The truth is, if they went through bitterness and they were hurt, God was where? Was with them. One of my latest journals I'm writing is it's called A Journal and Journey into God's Presence. And it's 49 verses that deal with the presence of God in our lives. Look at Isaiah 45:2. Isaiah 45:2. I love visual verses. And this one's so visual. 45:2.
I will go before you and will level the mountains. I will break down gates of bronze and cut through bars of iron.
When I'm working with clients who are going through hard times, I show them that verse. What's it mean, I'll level mountains? I'll clear your way. Look at Psalm 3:3. They've gone through a bad experience. They went through a painful event. Psalm 3:3. Terry.
But you, O Lord, are a shield for me, my glory, and the one who lifts up my head.
God is our what?
Shield.
Shield. You only use your shield in battle. So when they went through a battle, some painful event, maybe they got bitter, maybe they've been hurt. If I teach them God was their shield, and look at the second one, I love the second trait. You bestow what? Glory. And the third trait, you lift up my head. When do we hang our heads? When we're ashamed. Watch. Remember I said shame is part of what? Guilt. When I'm dealing with these painful events, I've got to locate God. How do you explain to a person, God allowed this event to occur, but he didn't want it? How do you explain that?
Brings you to the point where you can serve him and giving compassion to others.
Compassion, why is that so important? Yeah. So how do you teach people you went through a painful event and God hated it, but he still allowed it? See, here's what's sad. The greatest gift that God gave mankind,
Free will.
free will. The greatest curse God gave mankind, free will. Isn't that sad? Your pen is a great gift. It can be used in positive ways, right? You could stab me in the thigh with it. I'm thinking that great gift is now a painful event. One thing we got to teach people when they go through painful events, God didn't cause it. He allowed it because he gave people free will. I know that's a tough teaching. I get asked the question all the time, why did God give us free will?
We want them to love us, love him back.
But he could have programmed us to love him, right?
Yeah.
That's not true love.
How come?
There's no choice.
Okay, so I created you, and I put inside of you a pre-programmed pattern that when I ask a question, you always give me the answer I want. You're no different than Chatty Cathy. I'll pull a string and just listen to you talk. Oh, by the way, when I hear him talk, it means nothing. When it comes from free will, now it means what? Everything. Why did God allow the tree in the garden? Because he wants to give us choice. That's why I love. Look at Joshua 24:15. Joshua makes a statement which is wonderful. Joshua 24:15.
But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your forefathers served beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord.
Choose for yourself. All of life is made up of choices. The sad thing is, I can be hurt by other people's choices. When my brother was in college, he's driving home and there's a bag in the middle of the road and he can't ignore it. He hits it. The bag contained a cinder block. We put a cinder block in the road and it knocked off my brother's oil pan. It ruined his car. I'm thinking, why in the world would somebody put a bag in the road with a cinder block? And I got a real sarcastic answer. Because they could. True? When you look at evil nature, evil's our choice. Agree? That's why Titus says, we've got to teach people to be good. Let me close with an idea. We'll take a break here. Give me something they don't teach little kids in elementary school. How to be selfish little pigs. You know why? We already know. Just go to the playground. Oh my heavens, I look at people go, wow, at 2, at 3, at 4. My son, was 3 years older than his sister. And my daughter, she is as smart as a tack, and she learned that if I yell, my parents think Josh was doing something. And one day, I walk in, Kate doesn't know I'm there, and she's screaming. I looked right at her and said, "Busted." Why was she screaming? Because she knew more than likely Janelle and I would yell at who? Josh? Is that not evil? Where'd she learn that? I think human nature. Example, I'm a girl, I get stopped for a speeding ticket, I cry. I will use tears to what? To manipulate, and the policeman looks at me and says, "You're okay." Here's what's sad. I'm 57 years old, I'm a male, I get stopped for speeding, I cry. What's he tell me?
You're not okay.
You're not okay. I'm going, wait a minute. She cries and she gets off. I cry and I get a ticket? A bigger one. All right, let's take a 10-minute break. We're back here at 10:10. Or 8:10.
10:10.
8:10 is guilt. The second one is fear. The third one's bitterness. And the last one is inappropriate self-esteem. How easy is it to lower a person's self-esteem? Why? Why is it real easy? We don't believe what? We don't believe in ourselves. Excellent. Look at two verses in Job. Look at Job 12:3 and Job 13:2. One of the attacks on Job is right here in these two verses. Who's got 12:3? Please.
But I have a mind as well as you. I am not inferior to you. Who does not know all these things?
I think Job's friends tried to make him feel inferior. Look at 13:2.
What you know, I also know. I am not inferior to you.
When you think about building self-esteem, number 1 to 4 somewhere on the sheet. Let me give you the 4 things we build esteem on. Number 1, how people treat you. You will build your self-esteem on how people treat you. Number 2, how people describe you. The first building block of self-esteem is how people treat you. The second one is how they describe you. The third one is media's comparison. Media's comparison. Example, there's a TV show that lowers my esteem. Jeopardy. I'm trying to figure something out. Why do people know these answers? How did they acquire this knowledge? And especially when you go on category, famous Latin poets of the 3rd decade. And there are people who answer the questions like they're common knowledge. And here's what's sad. I'm still trying to figure out the question when they've already answered. Several weeks ago, they had one on tennis. one of the elders I partner with at University Christian Church, he's the coach of Taylor University tennis team. I got all 5 right. I texted him and said, Don, I just got all 5 questions right on the tennis category. I've got 4 years of eligibility left. Can I play tennis with Taylor? His response was 1 word. Really? You know, I'm 57 years old going, I can still play. Now, okay, so the first building block is how people treat you. Okay, remember I said earlier, let's say Dad had showed a total disinterest in me. How's my esteem?
No,
Why?
because you feel like he doesn't care.
And instead of me looking at his life, I'm blaming who? Myself. The second one, I'll build my esteem on how people describe me. By the way, the person who said this, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. Let's be honest, he's a moron. Can words hurt us? Look at Proverbs 18:21. Proverbs 18:21. The tongue has what? Of 2 things. What are they? Life and death. And those who love it will eat its fruit. Every word spoken has power. Here's what's sad. Every word not spoken has power. I can hurt you by what I say. I can also hurt you by what I don't say. Say hi to me.
Hi.
Can I hurt her but not say anything? I'm doing Cold War. So all of a sudden, I can purposely withhold to bother her? And I said media's comparison. I grew up with some great TV shows that taught me a lot about love. Love Boat. Let's be honest, it's a ship. And it's not love, it's lust. So let's call it what it is, lust ship. I don't think it would sell as good. But I did learn something about the TV show. Skinnies always dated skinnies. And fatties dated fatties. You never saw a skinny date a fatty. That's like dogs and cats mating. It doesn't occur. But watch, what I learned. Body image. Look at what Jesus said in John 7:24. Jesus said, stop judging by
appearances,
mere appearance, and make what?
a right judgment.
A right judgment. My esteem can be controlled by the media. Eating disorders really are simply programmed by what you watch. The Fiji Islands several years ago didn't have any cable TV, no satellite TV. They had no eating disorders. But when they brought in satellite TV with American programming, they had eating disorders. Why? Let me give you a test. In America, spell beauty. S-K-I-N-N-Y. In America, spell cute. S-K-I-N-N-Y. Are we programmed that way? Absolutely. low esteem becomes a stronghold. In fact, look what it says in Judges 6:15. Gideon. Judges 6:15.
But Lord, Gideon asked, how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family.
Give me his description of himself.
The least.
I'm the least and the weakest. Wow. Look at Judges 8:2-3. What did he do that lowered his esteem? Judges 8:2-3.
But he answered them, what have I accomplished compared to you? Aren't the gleanings of Ephraim's grapes better than the full grape harvest of Abiezr?
What did he do that caused him to have low esteem? Comparison. By the way, let me shock you. Comparison's a sin. I can prove it. We're all unique. If you met my twin brother, you would soon recognize we have total different personalities. Now, there's nothing wrong with his personality, but there's nothing wrong with mine. My brother was highly driven in high school. We're identical twins. I was about as lazy as they came. I had a very special learning disability when I was in school. It's called LSD. I was lazy, stubborn, and dumb. And I had laziness down to a science. My twin brother is starting varsity. I'm lucky to be on the team. He's scoring points. Here's my idea of basketball. If I make the team, all I've got to do is in warm-up, go hit 2 or 3 layups and maybe shoot a couple free throws. The nice thing is, we were really good in high school. So typically, during the first half, my sweats are on. During the second half, my sweats are still on. There were games where I didn't have to shower. All I had to do was get out of my sweats and go to clothes. Here's what's sad. I was so lazy. When I graduated high school, my mom and dad came to me and said, Charlie, we need to apologize to you. I said, Mom, what for? And my mom, I loved my mom. What a dear Christian woman. She died in August of this past year. She looked at me and she goes, Charlie, we thought you were retarded. Now, the reason why my mom thought I was retarded wasn't because of her. It was because of me. I could sit in class, take no notes, and pass any class. No, I didn't say pass it well. I could pass any class. So here's what's nice. When I work with kids who have learning disabilities, I go, I know them. I teach kids my learning disability. I was so stubborn. I wasn't stupid. I was just dumb. Now what's dumb? Dumb is having ability and not using it. Well, here's my philosophy. My first name begins with C. Charlie. C's are good grades. If I could get a class and get a C, woo! I had a coach one day look at me and he said, why are you not more like your brother? I smiled and whispered and said, why is he not more like me? I'm competitive, but I still like to have what? Fun. I broke my collarbone my sophomore year of high school. broke my right collarbone. So I missed basketball my sophomore year. I still have the letter from the school board president in my junior year for my first points. I scored my first points in my junior year. They actually called a timeout and I got a standing ovation. I still have the letter from the school board president. Congratulations. Yes, the reason why I was well liked. But man, was I lazy. In my senior year, 1975, senior year cross country, I received 1 award in cross country. I was a gold breaker. Who knows what gold breaking is? What's a gold breaker?
Running as slow as you can.
A gold breaker is somebody who has tons of talent, who simply doesn't use it. That was my award my senior year. If you come to my Muncie office, you'll see that gold brick on my bookcase. As a reminder of, look how lazy you were. Now, here's what's nice about my mom. My mom was the greatest team provider. My mom was my encouragement. Several years ago, I debated a guy on creation evolution, and my mom happened to be in the audience. And about halfway through the debate, I said, can I just go offline for a second? And the MC said, sure. And I looked at the guy, and I looked at my mom, and I said, Mom, I'm okay. And the doctor who I was debating looked at me and goes, is your mommy here? I said, yeah, and she hates your guts. And pretty soon you heard in the audience somebody say, get him. I said, I have permission? She goes, get him. And when I was done, he was furious. He showed us a picture of Cro-Magnon Man. I love Cro-Magnon Man. I said to the doctor, is that a drawing or a picture? It's a drawing. He said, I said, did the person who drew this, did he see the guy he was drawing? No. I said, he drew it out of his imagination, right? Yes. And I reached over and I said, I drew a picture of what I thought you looked like before we met. And I gave it to him. It was a stick figure. I said, how did I do? He's furious. I said, what's the difference with Cro-Magnon Man? He drew it out of his imagination. And then they thought I was retarded. I'm going, you drew this out of your imagination. What is wrong with you? Oh, your PhD. Pleasantly head dead. Okay, low esteem. I get off topic. Okay, so the first ingredient we put esteem on is how people treat you. Second one, how people describe you. Third one, means comparison. Fourth ingredient, your opinion of you. Go ahead.
Can you explain why comparison is a sin? I was waiting to hear that.
We're unique. Look at Galatians 6, 3, and 4. Look at Galatians 6, 3, and 4. You can't compare unique things. And when you compare, there's a faulty belief system. You're believing that there's a standard, and more than likely, you don't meet it. Does that make sense? That you're believing the lie of a standard, and you don't meet it? And here's what's even sadder. Typically when you compare things you feel inferior in. Agree? So all of a sudden, the whole nature of comparison, I already feel inferior, I'm comparing myself, I'm losing. Look at Galatians 6, 3, and 4. What does Paul write? They're not wise. Who's got, go ahead and read it out loud for me. Josh.
Okay. If anyone thinks he is something When he is nothing, he deceives himself.
Stop for a second. Two deceptions. I can think I'm something when I'm nothing. Or how about I can think I'm nothing when I'm something? Both of those are deception. Go ahead.
Each one should test his own actions. Then he can take pride in himself without comparing himself to somebody else.
Without comparison. When you compare, you can't win. If you win a comparison, what's it called? Arrogance. Ego. Well, we can't have arrogance and ego. So just by comparison alone, you've got to lose. My daughter, we have a totally different skill set in life. And the church where they attend, they asked my daughter and her husband to run home fellowship. Now, that's about as far out of my daughter's life box as she can get. She's got to have people in her home, and they've got to do discussion on a book. I'm proud of my daughter because she did it. And I said later, did you enjoy that? And she said, yes, I made some friends. I said, what? I said, you're being social? I am so social, I talk to mannequins in the store. They don't answer. If I bump into a mannequin, I'm going to turn around, and before I see you, I'm going to tell you 2 words. I'm sorry. And they can go, oh, you're in head. You're not real. But our personalities. Now, here's what's sad. A lot of times, parents will compare kid to kid. They'll compare one kid and say, I wish you were more like. How about we teach our kids to be what? Who you are. Do you guys know who started me in my love of my Bible? My mom. My mom was involved in the Presbyterian Church. She taught every Sunday. I used to watch her read her Sunday school lesson and read her Bible daily. My mom was my foundation of my love of God's Word. Now, that's unique because I look at Timothy and go, it was Eunice and Lois who taught Timothy the love of his grandma and mom. My mom one day called me and she said, Charlie, I'm teaching a class on Revelation. Can you give me a summary? I said, Mom, on the phone? She goes, yes. I said, how long? She goes, fairly quickly. I said, write this down. She goes, okay. I said, ready? She goes, yes. I said, God wins. And she said, what about all these numbers? Oh no, God wins. God wins. What about the bowls? No, God wins. And my mom and I were laughing. I said, Mom, you want me to explain Revelation on the phone in a matter of seconds, and there's books written about it? My mom had a great personality. The sad thing is, for the last 10 years of her life, she had Alzheimer's. And I would watch her lose her mind. I did my brother-in-law's father's funeral. And on the way home, my wife and I stopped at the nursing home, and Mom saw me, and she goes, Charlie. And I looked and went, you recognize who I am? And she recognized Janelle. Within 5 minutes, she forgot who we were. I looked at my wife and I went, did she forget us? We were having dinner with her one night, and she goes, do you remember the time when you got a bag of vegetables in pajamas? No. My mom's mind got totally confused. We were at the nursing home one day, and she said, I'm glad you're here. I said, so am I. I said, why are you glad I'm here? She goes, well, Ball State, Purdue, and IU had a reunion last night. We did? She goes, there was a fight. I said, we don't like each other. That was a totally created memory. But here's my mom, who was my esteem provider, and I just wanted to give her a peace of mind and say, Mom, it's okay. You build esteem on how people treat you, how people describe you, how you compare the media's image, and your opinion of yourself. By the way, if they were all equal, 25% each, it would at least be a fair fight. They're not all equal. In fact, which of the four has the least influence? Number 4. I'm going to give it 10%. The other 3 equal 90%. A majority of my esteem comes from how people describe me, how people treat me, and the media's comparison. That's the majority of my esteem. Say it again?
It's all subjective.
Yeah.
No validity.
No validity. But I watch it enough and I buy in. Well, what? The second show I grew up with was Baywatch. And I loved it when the person is drowning in the ocean, and the next thing you see is this gorgeous girl or guy run across the beach in slow motion. By the way, if I'm drowning, can you please get your tail in the water as quick as you can? Slow motion. Hello? Hey, there's a shark out here. Can you quit doing the slow motion stuff and show me your abs? Get in here. But watch, what we learned? It's all about the base. Oh, I think Meghan Trainor said that. And the song does say, they show us models that aren't real. I have a video where they took PowerPoint backwards. Not PowerPoint. They took Photoshop backwards. And the last scene is this attractive girl in a red bikini. And you watch them Photoshop it backwards to what it was when it first began. It was a piece of pizza. So when I work with girls, especially at Ball State on self-esteem, when I do that seminar, I walk in with a pizza box, and eventually they'll recognize, I'll look and go, you're comparing yourself to a piece of pizza, and you're losing. Let's have some pepperoni. They Photoshop pizza to make it look like a woman. No wonder I can't compete. You know, when I'm at Planet Fitness, I'm around guys that work out all the time. I'm 56 years old. I work out. Here's my workout. I walk 35 minutes a day. I don't train for the marathon. But if I compare, I'm guaranteed to what? Lose. Let me give you the high five of low esteem. Just do five points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is for girls. Number 1, every girl wants to be loved. Number 2, low esteem girls feel unworthy of love. Number 3, so they feel like they have to earn love. Number 1, every girl on this planet wants to be loved. By the way, that's Ephesians 5:33. Husbands, what? Love your wives. You want to build a wife's esteem? Love her. Number 2, low esteem girls feel unworthy. How come? Comparison. I get told this all the time by girls. Oh, he's out of my league. I teach them this. There's no league. Oh, but they've been taught there's a league. I'm working with a girl right now. I gave her a verse in John 4:17. Anyone then who knows the good he ought to do and doesn't do it sins. And I said, do you want to go up and say hi to that guy? She said yes. And I said, if you don't do it, you've sinned. She goes, that's not very nice. I said, I didn't write James. I'm trying to get her to be a little bit more what? Bold. Here's what's sad. She's drop dead gorgeous. The sad thing is she thinks she's what? Ugly. Low esteem girls drive me nuts. They'll look at you and go, you have no idea who you are. Except the media tells you. Okay, number 4. It's a question. Who decides how they earn love? Who decides? Say it again. No.
Others.
The one who's offering the love. This is why a girl will do something stupid with a cell phone just because the guy asks. I work with a lot of girls who do some really stupid stuff with a cell phone. And I teach them a Charlie Gerber statement. When a guy asks you to do something stupid with a cell phone, here's what you answer them. Shut up, you moron. And I teach them Matthew 5:37. Simply let your yes be yes and your no be no. Low esteem girls can't say no because they're afraid of what? Rejection. So they think by saying no, the guy's going to reject them. Number 5, earned love. Earned love will always lower self-esteem and cause depression. Now let's do it for guys. It's real easy. You see where it says love? Put in respected. Number 1, every guy in this planet wants to be respected. Low esteem guys don't feel worthy of respect. So they feel like they have to earn it. What happens when I put a guy around an attractive girl? I will guarantee you that guy's going to do something dumb. Why? He feels like he has to impress her. We're in school, we meet, I've got to impress you, so I've got a skateboard. I jump on the skateboard, I jump on the handrail of the stairs, I slide down the stairs, halfway down the stairs, I lose my balance, fall, hit my mouth, and break out 5 teeth. What do you do as I break out 5 teeth? She laughs. By the way, when she's laughing, my low esteem is now lower. My wife's boyfriend, before she met me, he's from New York. He thought he could run up and over a moving car. Car's running towards him. He jumps onto the hood. He gets up to the windshield and he face plants. And he spits out 3 teeth. Now I'm thinking, why in the world would you want to run up a car, over the roof, down the back, off the trunk, and onto the ground? I can think of one reason. Say it again.
Superhero guy.
And you're trying to impress.
Because I can.
Every guy in a girl's eyes wants to be what? A hero. I think every girl wants to be what? Say it again. Want to have a savior. I work with some guys who do some really stupid stuff. And I teach these guys, look, the most respected thing you can be is simply yourself. In my senior year of high school, I ran for homecoming queen. No, I didn't run for homecoming queen. The basketball coach looked at me and goes, why is there a poster of you running for homecoming queen? I said, there's not. He reached into his pocket and showed me the poster. This guy had made a poster that said, Charlene Gerber for homecoming queen. And the picture he took There was this girl behind me who had the same hair color I did, and the way he had the picture designed, I had long hair. Charlene Gerber. Oh, by the way, how people describe you, my last name was Gerber. Please help me with nicknames. To make it even more enjoyable, in my 7th grade year, I moved from a small town you guys have heard of in California called near San Francisco to a small town in Walkerton. My mother thought it was nice to dress us alike. She was wrong. My brother and I looked like the Bobbsey twins. You know, I'm going, well, because if I ever had twins, I looked at guys and girls and say, you can wear, within reason, anything you want. You don't got to dress alike. So my senior year, Gerber, I'm running for homecoming queen. I looked at the basketball team and said, well, if I'm running, will you guys vote for me? I didn't take it personal. I knew somebody was trying to do what? Do me harm. And I know human nature, people who try to do that will later brag about it in some way. 2 days later, this kid walked up to me and said, hey, I heard you run for a homecoming queen. And he's gloating. I said, did you do the poster? He later confessed he did the poster. Why do people gloat? Look at Proverbs 17:5. Proverbs 17:5.
He who mocks the poor taunts his maker. He who rejoices at calamity will not go unpunished.
Why would people gloat and mock? Because they want to hurt your self-esteem. And sometimes the best way to lower or build their self-esteem is to lower yours. George, several years ago I was preaching in Bedford, Indiana. And I did a forgiveness weekend, and I get out and I'm shaking hands, and this elderly man came out and he said, you did a great weekend. And then he said, but, I love but. I love but. But means forget what I said before. And he said, but I was just sitting there, and he said, but we use the real Bible. And I knew if I engaged him, now there's 2 idiots. And I looked and said, I'm sorry, didn't mean to offend you. If I would take in words like that to heart, what would happen? Oh, I can't do this anymore. Wouldn't it be nice if we just remembered positive words? See, here's what's sad. We don't remember positive words, but the negative ones. Wow. Look at 2 verses in Proverbs. 27. Let me read 27:2. Solomon, self-esteem, makes a great statement.
Let another man praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips.
Point 1, don't praise yourself. But then look at 27:21. Go ahead, Terry. 27:21.
The refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, and a man is valued by what others say of him.
NIV would say a man is tested by how he receives praise. I look at compliments. By the way, most girls, if you look at how you receive compliments, you guys are terrible. What do most girls do with compliments? Give me the eyes. What do they do with their eyes? They roll them. I know girls who have rolled their eyes so well, they've seen the back of their brain. I didn't know my eyes went back that far. When you roll your eyes to a compliment, what are you saying? You're a liar. There's only 5 ways to receive a compliment. I'll use you guys as the answers. Number 1, the person's just being nice. Number 2, the person's done something wrong. Ooh, nasty. Number 3 is even worse. The person wants something. Number 4, they're deceived. Number 5, they're telling the truth. You know what's sad? We rarely get to 5. Years ago, Easter, Sunday, I'm at a gas station. I'm at the counter, gave my credit card, got my credit card back, turned around, saw a college girl in an Easter dress. I said, "You look nice in that dress." Her response was amazing. She said, "I'm engaged." I said, "I'm married." How did she see my compliment? As a flirt. But here's what's even sadder. If I don't compliment her, say it.
She's offended.
She's offended. Okay, if I compliment, I'm hitting on you. If I say nothing, you're offended. Is there a win there? The toughest question guys are asked by girls. How do I look? You might as well just look at your girlfriend or wife and say, "Look, just shoot me now." Watch. Watch. Ask me how you look.
How do I look?
You look okay.
Great.
Oh,
Great. Always great.
what? If I say okay, here's what she says. Only okay? If I say great, here's what she says. Oh, you don't mean that. Okay, or watch. Ask me how you look.
How do I look?
If the outfit was larger, it would be better on you. Okay, that one blows. So here's the only way you can answer the question, how do I look? Ask me again how you look.
How do I look?
That's the only answer you can give. Just be speechless and stare. Because what happens is, if you give a compliment, they don't believe you. If you give an air compliment, they're insulted. If you give an insult, they're really insulted. I love the joke. This guy, God promises him, "I will do something for you. Anything you want." And the guy says, "I'd like you to help me understand women." And God said, "Can you give me a second thing you want me to do for you?" And the guy said, "Oh, this one's really hard. I'd like a bridge from California to Hawaii." And God goes, "How many lanes?" It's hard to understand each other because of what? We communicate differently. Girls, look at what it says in Matthew 10. Read 35. And someone get Proverbs 27:4. Matthew 10:35 and Proverbs 27:4. Matthew 10:35. Please. Oh, you don't have it. Matthew 10:35.
For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
Conflict is same sex. Do you see that? A man against his son, a mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law. Most conflict is same sex. Look at Proverbs 27:4.
Wrath is cruel, anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy?
Of the three emotions, George, which one did he say is worse?
Looks like envy.
Looks like envy. The NIV says it this way: anger is cruel and fury is overwhelming, but who can stand before jealousy? What envious and jealous people do with us? They'll knock us down. After we get knocked down enough, what do? We don't get up. I'm a big fan of one philosophy when it comes to getting knocked down. You rise one more time than you fall. Look at Proverbs 24:16. Though a righteous man fall 7 times, he does what? He rises again. But the wicked are brought down by calamity. I need to rise one more time than the fall. In my senior year of high school, remember I said I had a very special learning disability? LSD, lazy, stubborn, and dumb. I was told by the psychology teacher at our high school, I wasn't college material. I should go get married, work in a factory, and have a family. 5 years later, I'm working at Notre Dame University. I'm his boss for that summer. We had a great talk. He said, do you remember what I said to you? I said, yeah. He said, Charlie, you're 1 semester away from your master's? Yeah. He said, how'd you do that? I said, you were wrong. Now, a rule of thumb, don't try to prove others wrong. Prove yourself right. Make sense? George, when you began to school, I'm sure there were people who said you couldn't do it. That you had too big of a dream. Are you glad you did it?
Yes, and the only thing that would have kept me from doing it was pride.
How so?
Well, because I was afraid I wouldn't succeed, and then people would say, well, who do you think you are?
Exactly.
Pride.
By the way, is pride bad? Depends. Remember our dating scenarios? We've been through guilt. We've been through fear. What was my fear? She forgot. Spontaneous human combustion. Remember, you keep chocolate bars and marshmallows and graham crackers? Am I bitter? Absolutely. Remember my ex? I wish she would, whatever. Let's see if pride can ruin relationships. First date. You're lucky I'm here. You're lucky to breathe my air. Check, please. She's over. Is that not how we feel around arrogant people? I think for guys, when they puff themselves up, it's really because of low esteem. For girls, when they tear themselves down, I think at times they're looking for a compliment. That's confusing. Wait a minute, trying to tell me that a guy who puffs himself up has low esteem. Yeah. And a girl who puts herself down is looking for a compliment. But then, when you give the compliment, what does she do? Say it again. Puts it down. That's why I said, here's how you answer, how do I look? Just stare. You're in trouble anyway, just look at God and go, oh, I'd rather take that electric chair. All right, let's close in prayer. This has been a great time, guys. I've really enjoyed this. You guys have been a lot of fun. Tomorrow begins at 9. And I think are you first or am I?
You're first.
I'm doing the peak of stress. I'll do stress for an hour. And then, George, you have 10. And then 11, it's question and answers. And do me a favor. Ask him some tough questions. Now for me, I want softball puffy ones. All right, let's close in prayer. Father God, you are so good. Thank you for today. Thank you for giving us tools to deal with guilt and fear and bitterness and inappropriate self-esteem. Father, I ask you would help us to see ourselves through your eyes, not through the world's, but yours. Let us have a good night's sleep. Prepare us for tomorrow. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.